We all know Harrison Ford as the cultural icon who has played roles that have influenced almost 70% of all men in some way. He has played Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and now the Red Hulk. Ford has had an exciting life off-screen as well, but he has never talked about his relationships. Maybe it's because he's getting old. But at age 82, he has only just talked about his marriages. Many people were shocked when he told the truth about his marriage. What is the truth about his marriage, and why is he telling us this? Watch the whole video to find out. We all want to know the little things about our favorite celebrities. These days we can find out everything about their lives in an instant, but in the past people would die trying and only get a little pick-me-up every 6 months. For them it was worth it. It's the same for us. Harrison Ford isn't the same. In fact, it's even worse for him because he never told anyone what he was doing. While his movies were in theaters, fans would catch a glimpse of Han Solo, but after that he was a ghost. Today we're going to give you the full story of Harrison Ford's life, and if we're being honest, he's not what you think he is. Get ready to be shocked by his shocking and secret past. Harrison Ford was born on July 13th, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois, with a family history in the entertainment business. His mother, Dorothy, was an Ashkenazi Jewish radio actress, and his father, John William Christopher Ford, was an Irish Catholic actor who later became an advertising executive. If this sounds like a lot of religious problems as a child, don't worry. Both of his parents worked hard to give him a good upbringing, but it may have been too strict. When asked about his religious upbringing, he didn't say he was Jewish or Catholic. Responding with a sassy Democrat showed that he valued a liberal worldview over strict religious observance. Most people think that Ford must have been a bad kid, but they couldn't have been more wrong. In reality, Ford was an active Boy Scout and reached the rank of Life Scout. It is thought that being a Boy Scout inspired him to play young Indiana Jones in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He also worked as a counselor at a scout camp during high school, where he developed a love for the outdoors and animals. When Ford was at Maine East High School, he became famous not for his good looks or stylish clothes, but for his rough voice. It was his voice that was used for the first broadcast on the school's new radio station, and he was also the school's first sportscaster. This was the start of his career in entertainment, and his love for the performing arts grew at Ripon College in Wisconsin, where he studied philosophy and was a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity. Even after all of these fun activities, Ford was still shocked. To get out of his comfort zone, Ford took a drama class during his senior year to get over his stage fright. To his surprise, he found that he loved acting, so he didn't waste any time and signed up for summer stock theater with the Belfry Players in Wisconsin in 1964. That's when he decided to become an actor full-time and moved to Los Angeles. Ford's Hollywood career began with a small deal through the Columbia Pictures talent program, and his first credit was... It's crazy that such a famous actor had to deal with bias in the early days of his career when a producer said bad things about his work by comparing him to Tony Curtis. But Ford wasn't a pushover. He showed that he wasn't one of those sissies when he replied, "A good actor could play a bellboy." This rebellion allegedly led to the cancellation of his contract. Most people would feel like their world fell apart, but Ford took it like a man and looked almost like he was. Unfazed, he knew that if a place didn't respect him, it just didn't see his worth. So he got small parts in movies, like Journey to Shiloh, 1968, Getting Straight, 1970, and American Graffiti, 1973. Fun fact, it was in American Graffiti that he met his hero, George Lucas, who would change his career for the better, or worse. In 1977, Lucas picked Ford out of the trash and cast him as Han Solo in Star Wars, which was Ford's version of the character. Roguish, smooth-talking smuggler made Han Solo a cult hero, and many fans think that as a fan favorite from the original trilogy, he was the one who made Star Wars such a die-hard franchise. This was also the moment when Ford broke into the big leagues and began his rise to fame. This success paved the way for another famous character that we all love, Indiana Jones in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981, directed by Steven Spielberg, who chose Ford for the legendary role because he saw potential. Do you think that's what he did? Ford had a varied career that included roles in Blade Runner 1982, The Fugitive 1993, and Witness 1985, which earned him an Academy Award nomination. But that wasn't the movie that made him famous. The best and most famous role of his career was playing Han Solo in Star Wars, which he did in 4 sequels and cemented his place in pop culture. Ford's fame took off with Raiders of the Lost Ark. In 1981, Ford played Indiana Jones, the all-time favorite savage archaeologist similar to Han Solo. Indiana Jones became a cultural icon, and Ford went on to star in 4 more films in the franchise. Ford also played Rick Deckard in Blade Runner in 1982, and he came back for Blade Runner 2049, which came out in 2017. As an actor, one problem that many actors have is that they only specialize in one genre, but Ford didn't care about that. He doesn't let his age stop him from acting seriously or in action movies. He tried his hand at TV when he starred in the Western series 1923 and the Apple TV comedy Shrinking. For someone so good at acting, we don't know much about the man himself, even though he is a living legend who deserves his own movie. He's so cool that even if you don't pay attention to his acting, he'll still be the coolest person in the room because... As a licensed pilot, Ford uses his skills to help people in need in Wyoming. He is also an environmentalist and has been vice chair of Conservation International since 1991. Before he became a Hollywood legend, Ford was a young man from Illinois with a high school sweetheart. We know you want to know all about this lady killer's love life, heartbreaks, and even the love of his life. By the end of this video, you will know everything you need to know. It's no secret that Harrison's high school sweetheart, Mary Marquardt, was a chef and an illustrator. She waited for Harrison's early days in Hollywood, and they married in 1964. They had 2 sons. Ben was born in 1966, and Willard was born in 1969. While Ford was acting, Mary started a career as a chef, but his sudden fame in Star Wars in 1977 made things more difficult. According to rumors, their marriage ended in 1979 when Mary found Ford's ex-girlfriend. People still sarcastically defend Ford by saying it would have been rude for Han Solo to turn down the invitation of someone as noble as her, if you get what we mean. Anyway, the couple got divorced, but they were responsible enough to raise their kids by co-parenting, and we saw their kids grow up to be successful restaurateur guides and businessmen. Ford doesn't talk much about his personal life, but that doesn't mean we don't know anything from one of his interviews. He said that his affair with Princess Leia wasn't the main reason they got divorced, which meant that the couple had problems for a long time. He was devastated by his divorce, but he got back up and gave love another chance when he met his second serious interest. In fact, some people think that it was this new woman, a screenwriter named Melissa Matt Ford, who caused the first divorce. Ford met Matt in 1976 on the set of Apocalypse Now, in which he had a supporting role. Everything was fine except for the fact that Harrison was married to Mary Marquardt at the time, but he started dating Melissa Blossom while they were filming E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Melissa was a production assistant at the time, and she later wrote the book. They started dating in 1982, and they got married in 1983. They had a small private ceremony in Santa Monica that showed how down-to-earth they were. Melissa wore a simple white dress, and Harrison looked dashing in his casual clothes. Their love story was a beautiful mix of romance and simplicity. Matt and Ford had 2 children, Malcolm in 1987 and Georgia in 1998. Matt's career as a screenwriter took off, but Ford's fame got the best of him, causing problems. Harrison Ford and Melissa Matt decided to split up, and their divorce was one of the most expensive in Hollywood history. They filed for divorce in 2001, and it took 3 years to finalize because they didn't have a prenuptial agreement. Melissa got a $85 million settlement, which included a portion of Harrison's future earnings. People say that Harrison's affair with actress Lara Flynn Boyle was the main reason for their divorce, but no one knows for sure. The two were seen together many times, including on a romantic carriage ride in New York City and sharing a booth at a nightclub. Anyway, after these 2 divorces, Ford finally meets the person who will change his life and whom he calls the love of his life. Who is it? You'll have to wait and see. Before we talk about Ford's good-natured relationship with his sweetheart, I want to let you in on a few more private and sexy encounters that he tries to keep secret. Who are they? Let's find out. First, I want to make it clear that the sex tension between Han Solo and the difficult-to-get Princess Leia wasn't just on screen. Princess Leia only admitted to being involved when Han's life was in danger, but she was quick to do the nasty when they were together. In her memoir, The Princess Diarist, Fizzer wrote about her affair with Harrison Ford, which lasted 3 months during the first filming of Star Wars in 1977. Ford was 33 years old, married, and had 2 children. Fizzer said that their unrealistic love for each other and their attachments and fantasies quickly faded when reality hit them hard. Han and Leia as the rebels during the week, and Carrie and Harrison on the weekends, who were having an affair, even though she felt deeply in love with Ford and hoped he would marry her. While Ford was cheating on his wife, Fizzer and Ford spent one last night together before the last day of filming. The relationship ended without anyone knowing because Ford broke up with his wife afterward, but Fizzer and Ford never got back together. Fizzer later talked about the affair in public, but Ford, as usual, never said a word after all of this. After going through enough, Harrison Ford looked into the eyes of someone special, and his relationship with Callista Flockhart took off. There have been more unexpected turns in their relationship than in an Indiana Jones movie. It all started at the Golden Globes in 2002 when Ford spilled wine on himself, making things awkward and complicated between the two. Despite their 22-year age difference, the couple has stayed together, with Flockhart insisting that it's never been a problem because Ford is still flying planes and doing his own stunts, so who has time to count birthdays? She even thinks his messy morning looks cute, which may be the strongest sign of love. After dating for 8 years, Ford and Flockhart decided to finally get married in 2010. In typical Ford style, they did it with little fuss and maximum secrecy. The wedding took place in New Mexico while Ford was busy running errands for cowboys and aliens, and the ceremony was led by their friend and governor at the time, Bill Richardson, because when you're Harrison Ford, even your wedding has government support. Few people knew about it until much later, including Richardson's wife, who was an advisor, and their son Liam. Director John Favreau probably gave Ford a fondue set because they wanted to keep it low-key, because they wanted to stay true to their private love story. Ford's role as a father figure to Flockhart's adopted son, Liam, has been anything but normal. It was like raising a kid with a bunch of strangers. Han Solo as your dad, he met Liam when he was only 6 months old and adopted him in 2010. Even though he became a dad at an older age, Ford has embraced it with open arms. He's talked about the unexpected joy of parenting later in life, showing that even action heroes can handle diaper duty very well. Their cute bond shows how committed Ford is to his family, even though he never imagined taking on this role. But will he be able to handle the tantrums when Liam gets older? We hope the answer is yes. One of the most important things about Ford and Flockhart's relationship is that she supports his love of flying. At first, she wasn't too interested in it, but over time, Ford's interest grew and flying became a family activity, with their son also getting into it in 2015. However, their love of flying ran into trouble when Ford's vintage World War II plane crashed on a Los Angeles golf course due to a mechanical problem. With multiple injuries, including a broken pelvis, but miraculously, he was fine after the crash, and his wife remained fully supportive of his love for flying. She even said, "He loves it, so I love it." People joke that Flockhart might be interested in the insurance money, but who are we to judge after all that? She never wavered in her support, even though she may have gently suggested that they take up a safer shared hobby after that scare. Ford's still all about flying, and Flockhart fully stands by that. Because she knows how much it means to him, they treat each other with respect and celebrate what makes each other unique. Over the years, they've been to a lot of events that show how close they are. At the Cannes Film Festival, Ford, who is now 8 years old, was seen looking at Flockhart with such love that fans thought it was a sign from God to start editing their Instagram photos. We hear a lot of stories about couples breaking up, but Flockhart and Ford's relationship is still going strong. It's never too late to find romantic love. Ford himself has said that it's one of the most rewarding types of love, and he's the perfect example of this. From becoming parents by surprise to having a secret wedding, Ford and Flockhart have built a lasting relationship that defies Hollywood cliches. They're a living example of how love can show up in the strangest ways, whether it's through spilled wine or waking up looking like a chihuahua. Pay no attention to the 22-year age gap between them. With that much time between them, Ford had a head start in life. Did they let these differences bother them? Nope, not at all. Instead, they've shown that true love isn't about being the same. It's about accepting each other's quirks, whether it's an obsession with flying or putting up with Harrison Ford in the morning. Not only do their red carpet moments usually show how well they get along, but the 2023 Cannes Film Festival was one of the standout moments. Destiny Flockhart was sitting behind Harrison Ford as he waited for the standing ovation for Indiana Jones. Y'all want to know what his response was? He smiled at her. Not only that, but at the film's Los Angeles premiere, he took the time to thank her in public. My life has been enabled by my lovely wife. You've given my life purpose and meaning. Harrison Ford is still working harder than most people half his age, probably because retirement sounds too boring for Indiana Jones. He recently put on his fedora to... Harrison Ford reprised his famous role, taking a detour into the Wild West in 1923. He even jumped into comedy with Shrink because sometimes even action heroes need to learn how to laugh at themselves. Harrison Ford and Calista Flockhart's relationship isn't just based on love, it's also based on a shared desire to do good. Ford is an ardent environmentalist, and Flockhart has been right there with him because they are a couple who saves the world together, stays together.